Hello there everybody and welcome back to another Pro VOD review. A little bit of housekeeping as we jump into this one. Firstly, apologies for the lack of content recently. Busy casting stage 3. Overall, just my productivity dropped down. So hopefully going forward that will change. Genuinely very excited for the new season. So stay tuned for more. Secondly, sorry I look like a potato. I had to set my good camera back to ESL. So we're stuck with the webcam for now until I win the lottery. So apologies for that. And lastly, if I sound terrible, it's because I actually do have COVID at the moment. And I mean, I think day 4 or something. And I probably feel the worst that I have, or one of the worst days at the moment. So if I sound bad, I do apologize. But I really wanted to get this content out before the major. And if there's any weird skips, jumps, whatever, I'm probably editing out a cough or something. Anyway, let's jump in. Today we're looking at the best Chinese export in Rainbow Six at the moment. Reeps from the Direwolves, the best player in APAC South, moved to Thailand just a couple of days before the stage started, so he would be eligible to play in the league. And Direwolves went on, I think, to amass a 20-map win streak across APAC South and the Operation League throughout stage 3. So him and the team went absolutely insane, and we're going to watch his VOD from Playday 6 against Elevate. This was Direwolves' final game. Pardon me, this was Reep's final game of the stage, as he didn't play in the final Playday. Spoiler alert, this qualified them for the major. Then Reeps went on to have to worry about his visa and all that to ensure that he could actually go to the major. So we're going to sit back, enjoy this game. It's an absolute banger, and really keen to see how he plays. Now, one thing Reeps is really good at is his entry stat. Best in the league. So we're going to be tracking that throughout the day to see just how good he is on that. And overall, just how strong of a player he is. Such a great pickup from the Direwolves, and I'm sure that they have been very pleased with the results so far. I think in a Siege GG article, ED basically said that he's like the Asian spoit. So unfortunately, they get slapped there in the first round, but that trend isn't necessarily going to continue throughout the match. Now, it's probably fair to say that Direwolves, just as a team, really did step it back up here in the third stage. There were certainly concerns that they had dropped off a little bit, but they really put that to rest this stage. And I genuinely believe of every APAC team attending the major, Direwolves are the best chance to make it out of groups. I still don't have a lot of faith in Cyclops or Sandbox. I think APAC North plays in their own meta bubble, and it doesn't translate well overseas. And for Fury, very little expectation on them. In this game, though, focusing in, Onigiri already on a little bit of a heater. 3 kills already, and he is the main man from Elevate that I'm sure Direwolves would be well and truly aware of at this point. And we'll see how Reeps tries to sort of get himself back into this game, because, yeah, Onigiri really is tearing Direwolves apart at the moment. Cheeky little angle over towards Astro, just holding against that push, supporting Souffle inside of Astro against a repel. Dockerby in play, quite annoying at the moment. Just being mindful of the back push. There is a drone setup. 3 versus 3. Hopefully, Reeves will get some action shortly, as I often do with these reviews. I literally have not watched it back from his POV. I briefly remember parts of the match, but I'm not going to remember every little thing. So we'll see how Doubles go about trying to close this out. It is a 2 versus 2. Reeps still isolated over towards his head's position. And Elevate might be able to get a little bit of ground. I really like this angle from Reeps. With the DMR, he should be good for a kill. But he'll push forward. Don't know if he spotted that player in Astro. Gets a second chance though, but gets caught, pinched in that cross. So, pretty good start for Elevate, and Reeps has been shut down really well. Reeps will activate the trustworthy alibi for round 3. Triple shield set up here from the Direwolves. We'll see whether or not they can actually lean into that utility. Reeps on a roam. I think generally speaking, the pre-placed drone work from Elevate's pretty good. I mean, you can already see just 2 in living alone, so I imagine Elevate will have an okay read on this room. And then it's really whether or not they want to contest it. But Reeps hasn't really found much here. Not really any information. No engagements. Just needs to be careful. Probably looking to play off contact. I like that little barricade as well, just on the staircase next to him. Just cuts off one of those additional sort of roams that could catch him off. Now, there's no nook that is in play, so his chances of getting snuck up on are quite low, but it's like out of the realm of possibility. He'll just continue to lurk. He'll actually team up now with Pika. He has a Nitro, so I'm assuming he's going to look to try and play for a Nitro below. Keep in mind, Elevate did have double drones down there, so should have a read. Reeps now goes for the flank. Clean shot. Mr. Punch caught off guard. And that's the thing, Elevate don't have dedicated flank watch. No Nomad. Just the claymores from Onigiri, which, relatively speaking, aren't going to be too effective. Nice little peek there as well. I think Elevate were probably trying to set up for a trade. In fact, they're actually going to double down here. And that's Reeps for you. It took a little while for him maybe to get activated, but 3 super clean, super sharp shots. Mechanically speaking, he was one of the best in the league. And I think with the confidence that Divers did have this stage, really let that shine. Under a bit of pressure now, but pinching Elevate. They know Divers are at a man advantage. Can now use the hard breach against them, but Elevate actually hitting some really nice shots there. So I somehow cast a VOD on Reeps, mentioning just how strong he was mechanically, and then he went and whiffed a little bit. But I mean, he went on to waste quite a bit of time, and you would expect from this point that Divers will close out the round, but the late round so far in this VOD has actually not been particularly strong. See if Pika actually wins this out. I can't quite remember. I think he does. No, he doesn't. So Elevate actually take the first 3 rounds. Not been a good start for Direwolves, considering the stakes that were on this game at the time. Now, one thing I wish I could get my hands on, I doubt it's possible, would be like some kind of like VODs or replay files of Reeps when he was competing in China. I really don't know the extent of competition in the region. Like, it's a weird one. I really don't know. That's how he was scouted, I assume. So, oof, a bit unlucky there. The timing on the spawn peak. I think he would have won that fight as well. But yeah, as I mentioned, he moved across from China to Thailand in order to be eligible to compete. And Direwolves, I guess, really have found a diamond in the rough, if you want to call it that. Another good pick there. That's Onigiri shut down as well, so good start. Also, here's the drone. Clears it with the impact. And he's the kind of player that you really do want on that alibi role on the roam. Now block your ears if you don't want spoilers for the new season, but I think there's murmurings that alibi might be getting some changes, so don't know how viable this will particularly be in the long term, but I mean, every team's been doing this, so it won't really be an issue. Elevate seem to be struggling with the pinch, though. Seem to be feeding him a little bit one by one, very isolated fights. Like, literally no sign of a trade there, despite making contact on an area that they know is pretty dirty, so Reeps is just having a bit of a farm at the moment. Lights up Mr. Punch as he gets that info from his teammate. And he just plays with such confidence. Despite being droned out, he's still pushed forward, which can sometimes be to his demise. He almost gets away with it there, and Mr. Punch was low, so he could have actually won that if he was a bit sharper on the secondary engagement. But he's already done his job. Really good roam. Wasted a lot of time, and Direwolves will fast forward, but they should be winning this round of all rounds. I mean, both players are really low. 4v2. Yeah, it's pretty much unlosable at this point. And yeah, Mark will be in a little bit of strife here. Souffle with a triple, and Direwolves are back in the game. It's interesting as well, again, just looking at the Siege GG article, I might link it in the bio. How Odin, the coach, talking about how Reeps is basically a glorified reg star. But he still subverted expectations, right? Even outperforming his own, apparently. So, yeah, I guess you can sort of see remnants of that in his gameplay. But there's a lot of stuff that we can't really see or hear in terms of like how good his comms are and if he's making like any decent shot calls on these roams and whatnot. So seems to be effective. Elevator, no slouches. One of the best teams in the region. So it's hard to knock him. And again, on these roams, just continually finding information, applying pressure. And it's a really critical point in the match. I'm sure Doubles will really want a 3-3 half, but unfortunately this round just hasn't really fallen their way. Reeps really likes this position over towards heads. He'll play it again for the Astro Repel to try and counter Sapper on the Dockerby. Needs to be careful of the window jump in. Also has been droned out. Now a 2 versus 5. So we'll see how he plays this out. No expectation from the winner. It's a good first shot. He's still very wary of the back push. Not that we've seen Elevate commit to it at all. I think they're all focused over towards Bathroom Master, Bricks, etc. So he's not privy to that information, of course. Can't see the outlines. Ying for the execute here from Elevate is going to make things very difficult. Still holding this angle on the rappel though. And you'll need an ace to clutch. Unfortunately, the team just bleeding too many picks. Reeps did his job, got a nice 2k, but not really anything you can do there. So certainly crunch time for Reeps and the team now. Someone really at this point needs to hugely step up. Like obviously Reeps going 7-5. He's not having a bad game by any stretch, but just hasn't been Direwolves' game so far. I'll see how they fight their way back into it. The roam patterns seem to be quite similar here from Reeps. And that was just over aggression. So really well punished there by Onigiri. I think maybe there's a bit of desperation starting to set in during this game. We've seen time and time again, right? The early round for Direwolves has been pretty weak. So Reeps, I can only assume, is sort of thinking, well, if the rest of my team isn't going to be able to stand up in the early round, I'm going to have to take extra risks to try and maybe find a pick to alleviate that. He gets punished, unfortunately. Well, we go into the second half then. And the scoreline is 4-2. So Direwolves able to bring that particular round back. I got a little bit confused. I think the replay file might be bugged. I saw it said like match point. I don't think you guys will see it unless I decide to edit it in. It's obviously not match point. Reeps will be fulfilling the Yana role first up here on the attack. At the moment, you pretty much want your best fragger on Yana or Sophia. Sophia creeping back into the meta, and Yana with nades. Always really strong with her kit. He'll drain himself in on the entry, so take a little bit of ground. We're going to maybe pressure the staircase, but I think better of it. Pretty conservative here on the entry. I like that he's draining himself, just making sure that Elevate aren't lurking around. This staircase can be quite awkward to engage. Nade gets caught. And again, just goes back to checking for that flank. Just being really mindful that someone can creep up red stairs or even push down at any point. And until the rest of the team's really prepped for that brown stairs push, there's really no point solo focusing on that part of the map. Now Pika gets an opening. We'll see how he reacts to that. Okay, gonna rotate back to brown. Very aggressive. Okay, that was... that was not particularly well played. I think Direwolves are still in a decent position to maybe pressure that position a bit more. Shield's still standing with Selma's in hand from Souffle. I think that util could have been burnt, maybe, and they could have tried to clear that. Just apply a bit more pressure on that position, but reeps probably feeling the need to clear it quickly, and yeah, get shut down. You don't want to be contesting Onigiri in a dry peak like that. Still though, Direwolves do go on to win that previous round, so the scoreline's 4-3. And reeps will clone in for a quick entry in through closet, looking to take some early ground. The combo with the sledge here, I like that. And nets a kill. Mark caught out of position. It's a super simple synergy, but works really well. It's about as basic of a synergy as you can get in this game, but it proves that sometimes not overcomplicating things can actually work out really well. Straight away, we'll see reeps get back on drones, so he'll join himself up ahead. Spots red being held there by Mr. Punch. Very common from Elevate, Mr. Punch in particular, so that should have been expected by the Direwolves. I can only assume that he knows below's clear, entering it pretty aggressively. ED at front door gets shut down. He's been having a bit of a rough game. He'll call out the smoke, but the trade was a little bit delayed there from reeps. He just got time there on the barricade. And I remember that engagement. That was pretty awkward, but he wins it out anyway. Sapper was obviously really wanting to confirm that kill. Pika gets to work elsewhere. Reeps, again, plays it safe, goes for the res. And yeah, Direwolves close out the round. 4-4 now the scoreline. They've really brought it back. Alrighty, round 9. Reeps will stick Yana again. Pre-placed drone in kitchen, so he knows it's clear. You can go for an entry. Powerful position down below, especially if you have grenades in the pocket. We try and find Vert. Try and take up red or up Astro. A lot of playmaking positions that you can find yourself in. And I think the one thing that's really standing out to me on these attacks especially is reeps is like not afraid to really jump on drones a lot. Now maybe most entries are doing this much on drone work. It's hard to say. That would be such an awesome stat. Imagine you could see like percentage of time on drones or time on drones or like some kind of statistic like that. I think that'd be a really cool addition to the game. Because it's so hard sometimes to really give a number to the information you're gathering and how you're relaying that to teammates. He repositions anyway, so Direwolves have got a bit of a foothold. You can see the hard breach has worked out relatively well. And he just goes for an entry over towards bricks. Util cleared. ED's found himself back into the game this round. Couple of trades. Reeps hasn't seen anything, but spots DCH on the rotate. So some good patience. Doesn't push straight into bricks. Now just trying to find that last player, and the team will do some good work. So Reeps didn't have to do too much there, but overall, just pretty controlled, pretty conservative, and it served him well. Now, another thing I find super interesting about Reeps is I think he garnered a lot of attention from just how ridiculous his ranked performances are. This guy, I think, again, according to the article, Year 1, Season 1, he was the 3rd highest ranked player in the world. In Demon Vale, he had over 10k MMR. 10k! And it's weird, right? I feel like in League, for example, like solo queue ranked performances in general, held with like such high esteem and really do get players on the map. Whereas for Siege, it doesn't. I guess, you know, the game is quite differently played, but it worked out for Reeps, and I think he's shown some really good gameplay, at least in this VOD that we're watching. So, something to keep in mind. Ranked can be valuable practice if you treat it relatively seriously. Reeps gets caught out there. Nitro from below. Unfortunately on Villa, it's not something you can really help too much. Obviously, if you are getting stalled out in a position, that increases your likelihood. And if you're not clearing information, but it's not like there's a Valk on the board, she's banned. It's just one of those things that Reeps will need to reset. And unfortunately, yeah, the round does fall apart. And it's going to even at 5-5. So super close at the moment. I am a big fan of round 11, 5-5. Because the team that gets this next round really commands the match. Once you're on match point, you've at least secured something. You really put that pressure back onto the opposition to fight to OT. So we'll see how this one plays out. Reeps going for an entry over towards Study. As you can see, an aggressive setup from Elevate. Lines of sight, double stack brown, player top red. Pardon me. So we'll see if Reeps is actually able to drone this out and get a bit of a read. It is an AVG defense, so you'd expect it to be pretty stacked. Spots the player close there, sees the barrel on the door. He knows it's a shotgun, but he still goes for the fight. That is pretty ballsy. Ultimately, a good trade there from Mark. I don't know if that was the most calculated play from Reeps, but it goes to show you, this guy's an absolute madman to be going for something like that. So unfortunately for Direwolves, they don't go on to win that round. It's up to them to try and push the game to overtime. Reeps spots the Nitro. Does a good job to clear that. And gets straight out of there. Doesn't want to play any further part. Probably now feels that there's a good chance he can get some ground above. Seems like he targets relatively similar entry points here on the map. Not that they're too uncommon. Oh, really good sync there. EMP. Onigiri caught off guard. That's a clean shot. And Reeps really hasn't missed too many of those, like, quote-unquote freebie kills where enemies are getting caught off guard. There's a really good conversion rate on those, which is great to see. And punishing mistakes is one of the best attributes you can have as an entry. Because they don't tend to happen all too often. Second, again, Mark caught off guard. He was under pressure. It's really well done by Reeps. Good info on the third. He knows where the Jaeger is. Yeah, he feels pretty confident now. Everything's clear. Mindful of that Jaeger. Also catch him off guard. So that's 3. They don't really have a read on where the remaining players are, but probably expecting 190. Yep, you'll see that. His game sense is just really solid, which is what you want. Knows the last player's here. He'll call that out to the team. Gets pretty aggressive for the peak. Backs himself to win the 1. Really good round. And a strong response for Direwolves to send the game to OT. Alrighty, first round of OT. Direwolves are on the attack. I don't think that's going to hinder them too much, though. Maybe that's a bit of a hindsight take, but see how they actually go about playing it. Drone, straight up pantry. Aggressive from Reeps. No barricade on the door, wins the fight. And then backs off. I feel like a lot of players there would maybe get a bit excited, try and steamroll that maybe into a second pick, but Reeps is really low. Still got 2 grenades in pocket, so the smartest play there, unless he's certain there's a second kill he can get, is just back off. Support the team. We've seen his drone work be really good so far. So at minimum, he can provide that. And that's a smoke down. Sapper has been really quite strong this year. Good in the clutch. That's going to alleviate quite a bit of pressure here. The Direwolves. As mentioned, Reeps will jump straight on drone. Call out DCH. Seems to be pretty eager to engage. Oh, that player long gone, as you would expect. Kind of keen to see where he's actually going to try and use the nade util here, if you get an opportunity to pop it. I mean, there's castle barricades up, I guess, maybe. Sort of just have to see how he wants to play it out. This sheets angle is pretty difficult for the defense to contest, so might be able to find something. Sneaks into bike. I think the sound would have been masked, so I don't think Elevate would have a read on this. Just need to be careful not to make too much noise to reveal his position. Was a bit afraid of Mark there, but he's cleaned up, so Reeps should now have free take of sight. And he does have pretty good information here, so he can play off that. Needs to try and clear the player kitchen, if possible. Cover the plant. May have heard him enter pantry. Actually, didn't enter pantry. But still had the read. Well played. Gets flanked by DCH, but again, reeps. Gets the opening kill, gets some early ground. It's really well played. And yeah, Divers clean it up for match point. Divers will actually go to AVG. Probably a little bit surprising in hindsight that Elevate went to kitchen for their OT defense. Probably trying to catch off Divers, but it didn't work. As expected, we'll see the Alibi roam come out. It's been pretty successful so far. But Elevate, as you can see, they line up Amaru, Blitz. And this is a round I do remember. And you can probably read into that and assume what's going to happen next. A lot of disruption. Reeps caught off guard there. I think he heard the Amaru. And simultaneously Elevate pushed through with the Blitz. I don't think there was much more he could do from that position. He probably could have tried to find the pick of the player running next to the Blitz on the entry. But as you can see, Elevate steamroll it wouldn't have made a difference. That was a really good play from Elevate on the attack. Match point against them. They commit to a play like that. Pretty insane. But it works out well. They'll get the plant down for the post. We'll watch the end of it. Souffle one shot. Hits a nitro. So, pretty well played. But the post plant positions. Really good. Miss punch in particular on the bulk. Won't get spotted. And he'll round the corner and likely die. Diz actually managed to get back onto the diffuser, and at this point you have to stick. But Sapper will shut it down. And we go to round 15. Alrighty, round 15. Dial's back on the attack. Final round of the game. And I'm struggling to remember the exact context of this match, but I think for Elevate, this was basically do or die for their major aspirations, if I recall correctly, or something very close to that. I think it was maybe a little bit more relaxed for Dials at this point. I can't entirely remember, to be honest. If you remember, I mean, flame me in the comments. If you know me, you should know that my memory is sometimes a little bit hit or miss. Elevate, I'm sure we'll want to bag the W. Reeps with some good control early. Decent nade. Takes a chunk out of the defense. He's been given quite a bit of free reign on this position. Attack or defense. We'll see if this one lands. This should be really close. Yeah, DCH chunked as well. There's just really no counter pressure, and at this point Elevate can't. So it's well done by Reeps. Still being conscious of a flank. North is probably the position he's exposed to the most. Again, Red Stairs is being held by Mr. Punch. Very expected at this point. That was pretty aggressive there from Reeps. I think if Punch swings, he dies, but makes it work. Looking to buddy up with a teammate with a nade. Don't mind that support. I think Reeps recognizes that's not a calculated play. Now, I don't know if he has a great read as to this side of the map is clear. The way he's playing it would suggest that he does. Either way, though, he's been able to sneak forward. Probably sees the barrel there of the yellow buy. No, doesn't. But survives, so he got very lucky there. Mark missed a really critical trade there. Still finds Jackie Wu and gets out. And Reeps is low. Of course, the damage he delivered earlier, though, does sort of negate that a little bit. Again, he'll just stabilize and drone forward. Pushes in deep, knows it's clear. He can isolate the pick over towards Vault, and that player now not in a good spot at all with the reinforced wall open. So if they're confident there's a player still here, there's only one position he can be in. Yeah, gets spotted. Reeps really steamrolling this round. 17 and 11. He's just been accumulating these kills really consistently. See how he plays it in the post. Wary of bar. Now there's one study. I don't know if he can cover that. Not really. Gets caught out. 1 versus 2 now for Sapper. Doesn't win that duel. Elevate. Do not win the game. Darwills close it out in OT. 8-7 the scoreline. And overall, Reeps, such an impressive player. I think he's probably going to be the standout for APAC at the major, assuming that he doesn't really have any confidence issues and that he plays to the best of his ability. He was key for Direwolves in a lot of the games this stage. So very excited to see him on the international stage. Wishing him all the best. Wishing Direwolves all the best. And yeah, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Just a cheeky little review. Nothing too in-depth to jump into, but just some really, really exciting and really good gameplay overall to enjoy. So if you did like the video, make sure to like, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.